Okay, session, you said you can only stay about half an hour, but we'll dive into a bit of teaching around the quote today. So let's jump into that. And I have some time to do a bit of today's lesson, I think. Okay, so let's share my screen. All right, so are you there, Elaine? You see that? If you can read the quote for us.
Yes. You are not limited to this body, to this mind, or to this reality. You are limitless ocean of consciousness, imbued with infinite potential. You are existence itself.
Yeah, so today's quote points us inward to what many spiritual teachers call consciousness. Yeshua calls spirit in A Course in Miracles. She contrasts with consciousness that he says is correctly identified as the domain of the ego in the Course. So in other words, it's a separate sense of self and a thought system of separation that this entails. Sneezed on the truth of that. Okay, so if we look at our sent into hell diagram, ego or consciousness or belief in separation, religious terms would be called Satan, is at the top level of the ego system. It's the belief in this idea of separation that's created a whole thought system and a reality that follows the laws of separation. So that's actually what consciousness is. The domain of consciousness is everything that comes from the idea of separation. And that's this entire manifest physical universe, everything we most people think of as reality. Yeah. So whatever you call this, so there's various terms. What some people call it spirit, consciousness. A lot of people get confused with consciousness, and they call spirit or pure formless awareness consciousness. In the end, it doesn't matter as long as you're clear about what you're referring to. So God, love, oneness, being, pure formless awareness is our term. These are all different names for this ineffable presence that's really beyond words, beyond description. Doesn't really matter what you call it, as long as the substance of what the words are pointing to is the same and unaffected in your perception by the words. Because what's being pointed to by any words is limitless and infinite, and therefore beyond definition and words, which by definition seek to define and therefore separate and limit. So the problem is with words that they cannot really capture the essence of infinity and eternity. Because they are by definition finite. Words are made to describe finite things generally. Some words point to states of mind, states of being, like love and peace, and those are sort of more expansive words, but they're still operating within the domain of the ego. So this is a conundrum. How do you point to that which is beyond words with words? Why this awareness at its highest level is about pure experience, without the need for words, which can only really act as signposts to this experience, as Yeshua himself says in section 21 of the Manual for Teachers. So if you want to read that quote, it's from Manual for Teachers.
Words can be helpful, particularly for the beginner, in helping concentration and facilitating the exclusion, or at least the control of strenuous thoughts. Let us not forget, however, that words are but symbols of symbols. They are thus twice removed from reality.
So to illustrate this with a worldly analogy, signposts are useful while you're traveling on a journey, but not once you've arrived at your destination. The signposts are useless once you're there. So the signposts while we're on the journey back home to pure formless awareness, perfect love, ultimate source are useful, but while we're on the journey, signposts play a very important part in our learning and ultimate enlightenment, because they help us learn to let go of the ego's negativity and replace with the Holy Spirit's thought system of unconditional love. So they're given in the unreal domain of unconditional consciousness and perception to help us change our minds about the meaning of this domain and eventually transcend it completely. And we need some signposts while we're journeying in this domain, otherwise we'll get lost. So words are the signposts. Miracles. It's a very wordy path, lots of words to point us to a state of mind that's ultimately beyond words. So given in the unreal domain of consciousness and perception to help us change our minds about the meaning of this domain and eventually transcend it completely. So in today's bonus recording of the live session we held in 2021, we talked about some of these terms, which are included actually in your course manual. And I thought it might just be useful to review those quickly. So God, Father, Source is pure formless awareness of perfect love or oneness. Son of God is the extension of perfect love that in its unawakened state still thinks it is separate from its source. Christ is the one or true self that is the extension of perfect love. And source of the mind's right-minded, i.e. Christ's vision or perception. Holy Spirit is the voice for God, universal inspiration, the remembrance or awareness of oneness or perfect love, which is the reinterpreter of the dream or illusion of form from the perspective of oneness, to return the mind to pure formless awareness of perfect love or oneness. So the remaining communication link between love and its apparently separated extensions. And so it's the memory of this state of perfect oneness, which if we follow it will ultimately take us back to that state of oneness. Atonement, or alternatively pronounced at one-ment, is the state of perfect oneness of the source. So pure formless awareness of perfect love and its extension, and also the process of the whole extension, realizing this when a part of the mind believes it's separate from its source. That's the ego. So it's both the final outcome and state, and it's also a process, as is salvation, the process of letting go of all egoic thoughts. Yeshua calls salvation. So you're letting go of unloving thoughts, emotions, restoring the mind to pure formless awareness of perfect love. In other words, God, usually translated as awakening in our alternative language. And forgiveness is the process of letting go of all negative thoughts and emotions to restore the mind to its true state of pure formless awareness or perfect love. Miracle is the result of changing one's perception from a negative to a loving one that leads to an awareness of the true self or Christ. This may have tangible effect in the world of form, to which this word sometimes refers. Okay, so such as a miraculous event or circumstance, so the healing of the body or special relationship. It doesn't have to have any tangible effects to qualify as a miracle, because it's primarily a correction of perception as a result of a fundamental change of mind about the meaning of any situation based on a foundation of perfect love or oneness rather than a foundation of separation, leading to a letting go of the false belief in separation, acceptance of the truth of oneness. And then you have the ego, which is the belief in separation in all its forms, which leads to a separated self-concept that thinks it's separate from its source and created itself. Projection is the ability of the ego or belief in separation to project its thoughts outside, up a world of form seemingly outside of the mind. which is just projected thought. So the Big Bang was just a projection of thought that brought into seemingly physical existence all energy and matter. Now as seemingly separate ego cells living in bodies, and we continually project our thoughts onto other people and things, so we don't have to take responsibility for them. So for example, we blame other people for our problems, just trying to project our guilt for the separation onto others to make them guilty, get ourselves off the hook of the imagined punishment by God that we fear. So if we have a look at that briefly, we have the idea of sin and guilt, and then that needs to be projected out to get rid of it. Ego says, well, project it out and blame someone else, and this will get rid of it, because then the guilt will be theirs and not yours. So that's what we're continually trying to do. The original projection was the projection of all of this guilt and sin and fear and attack outwards into to miscreate a physical universe. And now we literally seem to be out of our minds. There seems to be a physical universe going on that's separate from us, and we seem to have bodies that are separate from us. All of this was part of the the miscreation of the mind, projection outward, which is now with these ideas, Yeshua's trying to help us to reverse it. Realize that if it's all just projection, and then projection makes perception, we have now this perception going on, and we regard the way in which we regard, understand, and interpret the sensory experience of the seemingly separate people, living creatures, and objects in the world of time and space that's seemingly outside of us, which our body senses produce. So he says at some point in the course, projection makes perception, and so it's a setup. We end up being set up by our ego belief in separation, which has projected all this thought outwards as energy, and now that seems to manifest in your experience and create a perception, which is fueled by the idea that projected in the first place. So it's a closed loop. Idea of separation projects it, causes us to perceive it. It set us up to have sense perceptions, and we perceive it from that same belief system. And what underpins our perceptions is belief, thought, and emotion. So yes, we're saying, look, the only way to change this is to change at the fundamental level. What do you want? Do you want to be a separate self, perceiving seemingly separate things and people and objects from your separate point of view and judging them? Or do you want to be one self? Do you want to let go of separation entirely? And your true prayer would be to be one again, to be one self. And that's going to change your beliefs, your thoughts, your emotions, and your perceptions quite profoundly. Okay, so, and then finally you got the body, the manifestation or embodiment of the ego's belief in separation, to make it its separate self-concept, and the world is miscreated, apparently real. And so there's a complete glossary of terms in the course manual, which starts on page 13. So if you want to check it out, if you read it, Elaine, or not, probably not, but it's useful just to go through it. At some point, there's a few pages of the terms, so you just have these kind of loaded into your your memory, loaded into your mind. So if you encounter them, you can
I think it's reference.
Obviously, you can always reference. This is like a reference, but it's useful to read it because there's some learning
in the manual.
So
I'll go through that
take
again.
it with you. Take it with you on some airplane holiday reading.
Yeah. Well, it's not 6 weeks is a long holiday.
So any other terms while we're on the subject? Any of these terms or other terms in the course that you're not sure about? Do you want some explanation on?
Well, I've got a good sort of grasp of it, but still room for improvement.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not that. What we're doing is translating each section and lesson. So the translations are now in the alternative text, so you don't have to reference. but it's useful maybe sometimes just to understand what the original terms mean in full context, so that when we use the alternatives, the deeper understanding. So yeah, it might be useful for you to read through. There's a past discussion there for you to listen to on this subject. So talked about the key terms, 76, which is a very powerful lesson on overcoming the laws of the ego, laws of God versus the laws of the ego. So check that out if you have time. And that brings us to our lesson for today, which is lesson 164. So if you can read that in the original and in the alternative, and then we might have time. Do you have to go in 5 minutes or in 15 or
10
20
minutes? 10 minutes, yeah. 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, so maybe we should just do because we're probably not going to have time to read more than 2 or 3 paragraphs. Would you like to do a meditation on it?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Actually, funny enough, I'm still in the process of listening to what you and John did yesterday. The attraction to death, the incorruptible body. I'm still trying to catch up on that, because that I'm very interested in. So there's I don't want to miss out.
Some good stuff happens late into
the you were both burning the midnight oil again.
I carried on. I did a meditation after that without him.
Wow. Yeah, well done.
Well, I just what I'm trying to do is build a system so everything's there for next year. So each section has a meditation and there's a link to it. So instead of having to download it, and it's like, okay, there it is on YouTube. You can just go listen, click the link, and it opens up at the point where you start the meditation, and you can just you can listen. So it's all the meditations.
Oh yes. As I say, I'm particularly interested in doing this section that you and John did yesterday. The obstacle to peace. I do want to listen to that.
Good. Okay, so shall we dive into meditation? Just read the on the alternative, so we know what we're dealing with in terms of the lesson.
Yeah. Now are we one with Him who is our source? And the alternative: now I am one with my source.
Oh, I'm one with my source. So nice, and nothing new. This is he's told us this many times in different form. I'm as God created me. It's just a different form of the same lesson, which is repeated in different form, as he said. Now I am one with my source. It's claiming our oneness with this, our true source, and really feeling it. That's why it's important to meditate on it and experience it. So shall we do that now? Let's go into the meditation, shall we? All right. Just make departure back straight. Blowing the stomach out, clenching the sphincter muscle, locking the energy in, energy up the spine, into your heart center, pulling it up into the crown of your head, just pausing at the top end. And it's a maximal inhale breath. Breathing in. So just your mind. Just notice any thoughts, any emotions related body sensations going on, particularly anything that feels negative, limiting, contracted, constricting in any way. So you just exhale, blow it out. The breeze of your breath. The nothingness that it really is. All that negativity is gone. Remind yourself that now I am one with my source. Now I am one with my source. So just breathing in and out through your nose. Just going to have a look at the summary of this. So listen to these words and repeat them after me. As you breathe in, you listen. As you exhale, you repeat the words as affirmations of the powerful truths in this lesson. Breathing in, filling up the stomach, to the chest. Maybe feel a subtle flow of energy rising up the spine. Pause at the top of the inhale as you listen. Today, I open myself to recognizing the eternal truth. When you exhale, out through your nose, you speak those words. Using the eyes of my true self. Breathe in on that. The perception of my true self. Breathe in again. Which looks past time and hears the melody of the state of your formless awareness. Breathing in again. Breathing in again. The world fades for this sight. And all that seemed important is replaced by a deep sense of peace. And pure formless awareness. That I carry within me. Untouched by the illusions of sin. Breathing in again. I step beyond worldly imaginings. Allowing them to part like a curtain. To reveal the reality beyond. Breathe in again. Now, through the non-judgmental perception of my true self, I perceive the world in its pure innocence. and recognize its transformation. Breathing in again. As I connect with my true self, my vision becomes a source of healing and awakening for the world. Discerning the valuable from the valueless. And extending love to what is worthy of love. Breathe in again. And consciously refrain from judging. Allowing only the judgment that is beyond this world. Thereby increasing my joy. Finally, I let go of all worldly desires in my practice, creating space for my true self to guide me to awaken. I recognize the value of my acceptance in this process and commit to my higher purpose of awakening. Despite the uncertainties, I trust in pure formless awareness, perfect love. Knowing it will never deceive me, as I look forward to the complete awakening it promises. And so, key message, very simple. Today, guided by my true self, say this as you breathe in. I choose to see past illusions, embrace eternal truth, and cultivate inner peace. Experience inner peace as I release judgment and worldly desires. I contribute to the world's awakening and healing. Trusting in the pure formless awareness of perfect love within me. I anticipate complete awakening. And so it is. And so just for a minute, So to close the meditation, just surrender inwards, go within to this state of pure formless awareness, perfect love within you. Say, I am one self. And I am one with my source. And you feel that connection. Source is pure formless awareness, perfect love. Now I am one with that source. It is my true awareness. It is within me. It's in my mind. And just abide, live, stay in this presence for a few moments. Nothing else to do, nowhere else to go, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still, and surrender into the stillness, the silence. And experience your oneness with your source. In deep peace and stillness. So just coming back gently from this deep state of awareness to an awareness of the body and the breath, senses and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. For 1, just breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile. Scan your mind. So any negative thoughts that deny your source, you can just let go of them. blow them out, let them go with the breeze of your breath to the nothingness they really are. Going, gone. Lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And just rest in deep peace and stillness. Count to 2, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling and touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, smell in your nose. Noticing what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Noticing all these things from this state of clear awareness, pure formless awareness. In action feels like clarity, feels peaceful, it feels calm, feels guided, connected. So you can stay connected to your source even while you're perceiving things in the world. Just perceive them from the perspective of Christ being the one self. You see that the only purpose is atonement, or atonement. There's no other purpose. This is all you're here to learn. So anchor the state in. Use today's lesson just to top you up. Reconnect with your source whenever you need to. Going out for a meal, but only needs to take a moment or two to remind yourself, now I'm one with my source. You take a breath in and you pause for a few seconds as you remember that, and in that moment you reconnect. So try and practice that while you're out. It's good mind training. No one needs to know what you're doing. It's just your own practice, and they'll keep you connected and one with your source. So 3, on the count of 3, open your eyes, just look around. Noticing the various objects in the room, and that this awareness of source really underlies them all. So whatever you're looking at, whether your eyes are closed or open, you can close your eyes briefly. Notice that source, that awareness is still there. You open your eyes, you notice it's there. So you're starting to learn that the source is always there because it's your true awareness. So God goes with you wherever you go because your awareness is always with you. Otherwise, you would simply cease to exist. Seeming to be a self-evident statement, but in the ego's crazy land, it seems like that awareness has been obliterated, and so we walk in the world without that awareness. So carry it with you, and enjoy your meal, Elaine, and hope to see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
are you again? I don't know what time do you finish this evening? You don't know yet. There you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll see who arrives. So it's
I'll have a look and see. It says if there's anybody online, doesn't it? So if there's somebody there, then I can always join, couldn't I?
Yeah. Okay. Just message me. We could do some of the text later if you want. What time will you be back?
I really don't know. Not sure. Not really sure yet. It's
9 o'clock or something.
Yeah, and it's quite hectic at the moment with getting things organized, and my husband's in a bit of a stressed state. So I need to say this lesson.
Well, join us if you can.
Yeah, I will do. Okay, thanks very much.
Let me know. All right. Otherwise, see you tomorrow at I'm going to do a 12:30 tomorrow. Right.
That's great.
You can make it.
Actually, that might be better. Actually, yes, because yep, that's perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
12:30 tomorrow, if I don't see
Yeah.
that.
See you then. Namaste.
No.
Bye.
Okay. Namaste. Bye. All right, so what time but now can truth be recognized? Present is the only time there is, and so today, this instant, now, I come to look upon what is forever there, not in my sight, but only in the eyes of my true self. In the perception of my true self, maybe we'll make it. He looks past time and sees eternity represented there. It hears the sounds the senseless busy world engenders, yet it hears them faintly. For beyond them all, it hears the song of the state of pure formless awareness. And the voice for pure formless awareness of perfect love, clearer, more meaningful, and nearer. So the song of heaven, or the voice for God. And the true self is Christ. Is the song of the state of pure formless awareness, and the voice for perfect love, maybe more meaningful and nearer, clearer, more meaningful and nearer. So he's just saying here that perception of my true self, we start transcending time, and we hear another voice that talks of the eternal pure formless awareness of perfect love that's clearer, more meaningful, and nearer than the busy, senseless, busy world. Our inner experience starts to become much more powerful than our sense perceptions as we progress on the spiritual path. Number two, the world fades easily away before his sight. The world fades easily away before its in its perception. Sounds grow dim. The melody from far beyond the world becomes increasingly distinct. An ancient call to which it gives an ancient answer. I will recognize them both, for they are only my answer to my source's call to me. My true self answers. So Christ answers for me. My true self answers for me, echoing myself. Using my voice to give its glad consent. I accept my awakening for me. How wholly aware am I practicing today? My true self gives me its sight and hears for me. Answers in my name, the call it hears. So Christ, or my true self, gives me its perception and hears for me. And answers in my name, the call it hears. How quiet is the time I get to spend with it beyond the world? How easily are all my seeming sins forgotten and all my sorrows unremembered? All my seeming sins and sorrows. On this day, I let go of grief. Sights and sounds that come from nearer than the world are clear to me. You will today accept the gifts it gives. How easily are all my seeming sins and sorrows forgotten. I let go of grief. Sights and sounds that come from nearer than the world are clear to me. You will today accept the gifts it gives. So I start to see another world, the real world, which is informed by my true self, my true awareness. There is a silence into which the world cannot intrude. There is an ancient peace I carry in my heart and have not lost. And there's a sense of pure formless awareness in me. The thought of sin is never touched. All this I will remember today. Faithfulness in practicing today will bring rewards so great and so completely different from all things I sought before, that I will know that my treasure and my rest is here. So he's asking us to go into the silence, an ancient peace, sense of pure formless awareness that has never been touched by the idea of sin. There's a day when vain imaginings part like a curtain to reveal what lies beyond them. Now is what is really there made visible. All the shadows which appear to hide it merely sink away. Now the balance is righted. The scale of judgment left to my true self that judges truly. And its judgment will a world unfold in perfect innocence in my perception. Judgment, a world will unfold. Perfect innocence in my perception. I will perceive it with the eyes of my true self. Now is this transformation clear to me? So our perception is changed, transformed. We see clearly all of our past shadows and negative thoughts. Shadows or negative thoughts and emotions which appear to hide it merely drop away. Now the balance is righted and the scale of judgment left to my true self that judges truly. Stay sacred to the world. My vision, given me from far beyond all things within the world, looks back on them in a new awareness. And what I perceive becomes the healing and awakening of the world. The valuable and valueless are both perceived and recognized for what they are. And what is worthy of my love receives my love, while nothing to be feared remains. So he's saying we discern the difference between truth and illusion. We love what is worthy of love, which is what's true, which is pure formless awareness of perfect love in everyone and everything. And that receives my love, which is really just my acknowledgement of it as me. Namaste is divine love that says, I see you as I am. I acknowledge you as I am. There's no difference. There's no separation between us. While nothing to be feared remains. Nothing to be feared remains. So you let go of all the valueless, the meaningless, and you find you're living in a different world. World of true meaning, a world of light. We will not judge today, we'll receive what is given us from judgment. So I will not judge today, I'll receive only what comes from judgment that is beyond the world. This is the Holy Spirit's judgment of the pure formless awareness, remembrance of perfect love's judgment that speaks for this transcendent reality beyond the world. My practicing today becomes my gift of thankfulness for my release from blindness and misery. All that I perceive will only increase my joy because its pure formless awareness reflects my own. I stand released in the sight of my true self, all the world released in my own. I bless the world as I behold it in the light or the true awareness. Which my Savior Awakener looks on me. Offer it the freedom given me through his forgiving vision or its freeing vision, not my own. So in the perception of my true self, I'm free, I'm released. I bless the world. And behold it in the true awareness in which my awakener looks on me. Offer it the freedom given me through its free vision, not my own. Open the curtain. I open the curtain by practicing, by merely letting go of all things I think I want. I put away my trifling treasures and leave a clean and open space within my mind, where my true self can come and offer me the treasure of awakening. It needs my most wholly aware mind to awaken the world. Is not this purpose worthy to be mine? Is not my true self's vision worthy to be sought above the world's unsatisfying goals? Only this is a worthy purpose. It's asking us to choose this vision, this perception, instead of the world's unsatisfying goals. So I will not let today slip by without the gifts it holds of me, receiving my consent and my acceptance. I can change the world if I acknowledge them. I may not see the value my acceptance gives the world, but this I surely want. And exchange all suffering for joy this very day. I practice earnestly. And the gift is mine. Would pure formless, the oneness of perfect love deceive me? Would God or pure formless, the oneness of perfect love really deceive me? Can its promise fail? Can I withhold so little when its hand holds out complete awakening to its extension? And I withhold so little when its hand holds out complete awakening to its extension. So he's asking us these questions and asking us to accept the awakening, asking us to accept the freedom that comes from our source, comes from being willing to let go of our own ideas, beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and accept this source as our true identity. Accept that we are one with this self, this higher self, with the Christ. So the personalized executive summary, which I read in the meditation earlier. Today I open myself to recognizing the eternal truth, using the perception of my true self, which looks past time, is the melody of the state of pure formless awareness. Members, state of pure formless awareness. The world fades before this perception. The world fades away before this perception, and all that seemed important is replaced by a deep sense of peace and pure formless awareness that I carry within me. Untouched by the illusions of sin. I step beyond worldly imaginings, allowing them to part like a curtain to reveal the reality beyond. Now, through the non-judgmental perception of my true self, I perceive the world in its pure innocence and recognize its transformation. Recognize my transformation. And it's as I connect with my true self, my vision becomes a source of healing and awakening for the world. Distinguishing, maybe instead of discerning, distinguishing the valuable from the valueless, and extending love to what is worthy of love. Consciously refrain from judging, allowing only the judgment that is beyond this world, thereby increasing my joy. Finally, I let go of all worldly desires in my practice. Getting space for my true self to guide me to awaken. I recognize the value of my acceptance. In this process. Commit to my higher purpose of awakening. Despite the apparent uncertainties, of this world, I trust in pure formless oneness of perfect love. Despite the apparent uncertainty of this world, I trust in pure formless oneness of perfect love, knowing it will never deceive me as I look forward to the complete awakening it promises. Let's change that to as I experience complete awakening it promises, moment by moment. Key messages today, guided by my true self. Choose to see past illusions, embrace eternal truth, and experience inner peace. As I release judgment and worldly desires, contribute to the world's awakening and healing. Trusting in the pure formless oneness of perfect love within me. Will experience complete awakening. Will experience complete awakening by trusting the pure formless of perfect love within me. So it is. So that brings us to the end of this quite short session. I wish you a very peaceful evening when you experience the connection to your source. We may join again a little bit later to do the text. So remember, watch out for that in the group. If you'd like to join us in these live calls, then just look below. I've posted a link. You can go and register for our next masterclass, which will be happens every Sunday. So upcoming Sunday, join us live in one of these sessions to find out more about the Art of Letting Go program and what it can do for you, how it can help you completely transform your mind and awaken to the truth of who you are. Experience love, peace, and joy that are out of this world. So hope to see you in the masterclass. You can also subscribe to the channel and sign up to our Telegram group. I send out daily messages. So look below if you're looking at this video on YouTube for that, and do what you feel inspired to do. And that brings us to the end of the session. So thanks, Elaine, for joining, and I may catch you a little bit later for the text. Namaste, in the meantime, which means the true self in me that's connected to our source and honors that same true self, which is part of the same source as you.